Throughout the article Sexual Perversion by Thomas Nagel, Nagel tries to define sexual perversion as desires or practices that are seen as being unnatural. For something to be perverted, it has to meet these three criteria. It has to imply that your sexual desire is unnatural, that fetishes of objects will be seen as perverse, however unadorned intercourse will not, and that perversion will be unnatural. And sexual inclination, as opposed to unnatural practices, adopted from the inclination but for other reasons. Each culture has a different definition of what is natural and what is unnatural. One of the opposing arguments to Nagel is that sexual desire is an appetite like hunger. Nagel says that hunger, eating, and sex play an important role in our biological functions of our everyday lives. We do not consider someone's appetite to be perverted if he liked to eat sand or wood. These are just odd and unhealthy tastes. They lack the psychological complexity of having a perversion. It might be seen as a perversion if someone was eating a cookbook or magazine with pictures of food over ordinary food. Even an appetite can have some perversions with its psychological structure and biological functions. The object of sexual attraction should be to a particular individual who transcend the properties that make him or her attractive. Sexual desire involves perception. It is more than just the perception of a sexual object, but the perception of oneself. It involves considerable self-awareness to be more than an ordinary sensory perception. There are three different stages of sexual perception, according to Nagel. He uses Romeo and Juliet as an example. The first stage is Romeo seeing Juliet for the first time. Just seeing Juliet, even though she has not noticed him, sexually arouses Romeo. The second stage is sensing that the other person is sensing. Romeo notices the physiological signs of Juliet's arousal. One person is sensing another person's arousal. And the third stage is sensing of another person sensing you. Romeo learns that he can see Juliet look at him, and Romeo realizes that he is causing Juliet's sexual arousal. The process of self-arousal is brought out by the stages of sexual arousal. Having self-awareness leads to mutual awareness. This fits the model for sexual desire, and sexual desire is a series of complex dialogues. Overall, Nagel makes a good argument for defining sexual perversion. He makes a distinction between what is natural and what is unnatural. The example of Romeo and Juliet shows how arousal and perception begins. Along with the good points that Nagel makes, he leaves some questions unanswered. He does not address masturbation in the article. Is masturbation a sexual perversion? In my opinion, it is not. He also does not address rape. In my opinion, rape is always a sexual perversion. Along with these few flaws, Nagel makes a compelling argument on the definition of sexual perversion.